Hi folks, it's Andy and welcome to today's Kendo rant. Excuse the red eye, I've got some allergies and stuff going on. I don't know what it is, I think it's the weather or something. Yeah, so excuse that first of all. It's been a couple of days since I posted one of these, sorry about that. Things have been absolutely manic. I will get back to posting these properly, regularly, I promise I will. But yeah, things have just been a little bit upside down for me with all sorts of things here at KendoStar. Things going nuts with the deals that we've got on, for example. And as you know, I'm on my own with the kids at the minute as well, so I'm still sort of looking after them. So things are pretty tough, but we're getting there. So we'll be back on track very soon. So again, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting for this episode. So with that being said, let's jump right into the questions. Hello Andy, can you please share on how to create an opening whilst in Tsubazeri for an effective Hiki-Kote? It seems rather difficult waza, and often I get hit on men instead, way before getting that opening for my strike. I saw some that wrist movement sideways from a match where Shaw Andolf during the 17th World Championships did that Hiki-Kote. I guess he won by 2 Hiki-Kotes done in the same way, thanks. Okay, so Hiki-Kote is, in my opinion, probably the hardest of the Hikiwaza. I think it's the hardest one to do. It's very different for distance. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to create an opening, which is what your question is about. And it's also very difficult. It's also very difficult to score in the Shiai because it's very difficult for the Shimpan to actually see it or to notice it because it happens in a confined space. It's not a very clear point like Hikimen, for example. So Hiki-Kote is a difficult point. Now, about creating a point, creating a opportunity, essentially it's a lot like Kote from normal Chudan. Or from Jordan. It's like any Kote attack. You have to convince your opponent you will strike their men. And that will give you a chance for Hiki-Kote. Okay, so you have to apply the pressure from Tsubazeri that you're going to hit men. And then somehow make them feel that that's what will happen. I'm going to hit men, perhaps you could lift this way and then hit Hiki-Kote this way. Or you can push their arms maybe up this way or down this way. Pushing down can work quite well actually, just like it does for Hiki-Do. Because if you push down, their shinai will go down like this and their men will open. So they'll become afraid that they'll be hit on the men, and maybe they'll lift their hands like that, giving you the chance to hit that Hiki-Kote, all right? But it's very, very difficult. You have to make sure you've got the distance right in the first place. Okay, so you're doing your Tsubazeri with good distance here. You need to keep space here between your arms and your body, a sort of similar distance that you have when you're doing Chudan, yeah? When you're doing Chudan like this, your Tsubazeri distance wants to be something similar, and not like this, really close to your body like this, because then you won't be able to hit your waza, especially a waza like Hiki-Kote. When you're talking about a match with Ando-san in the World Championships, and he did it with like a sideways wrist movement, I can't think of the exact match you're talking about, but I imagine that he made a strike that sort of went like this way, or something like this, which is, it's fine, but you have to get the Haseji correct, okay? The Haseji is, obviously this is a child shinai. I'm using it for the for the sake of the video because it's shorter. But obviously the tsuru is the back of the blade, and the jimbu is the opposite side. This slat here. So you have to make sure you hit with this side of the shinai. Okay, so even if you make the sideways strike like this, the direction of the blade has to be correct, so that the strike is made with the correct haseji. Otherwise it cannot be counted as a valid strike. Okay, so it requires a massive amount of flexibility in the wrists and speed, and most importantly you have to create that opportunity by threatening the men. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. It's a difficult waza. It's difficult. It's not gonna be something you're gonna be able to do very quickly. It's gonna take a lot of work. Can you recommend a good English language kendo glossary that includes the precise kanji to aid in disambiguation? Not to name names, but when I googled for the kanji for suriage, Most of the English language sources I found didn't have any kanji. More than one used a kanji that seemed to be associated with printing, and another used the homophonic kanji found in karage. The kanji homophones were bad in Aikido, but finding a reliable glossary helped me in my studies there. Excuse me. Okay. Obviously, there's the Kendo dictionary, English language Kendo dictionary that we have on KendoStar. I talked about it in the last video. I think we're out of stock at the minute. The books that we put up last week, they sold out like in a couple of days. But I do have more on order. They'll be coming very, very soon. So keep your eye on the KendoStar website, because we do have that, the English to Japanese Kendo dictionary. I believe there's kanji written in that. I don't have one here. Like I said, I've sold them all. I'm pretty sure that they do. It does have kanji in that. Also, there is in this book the official guide for Kendo instruction. Again, sold out at the minute, but we have got more. I've got more on the way from Japan as we speak. They'll probably be here sort of next week or the week after. Keep your eyes on the KendoStar website for those. But once they get on there, make sure you order them quick, yeah, because these sell out so fast. I was pretty surprised how quickly sold out, and I can only get so many at a time from the Zenkennen, so I can't just get loads. But at the back here, it does actually have like a glossary, and it has certain terms, and it actually features the kanji as well, the Japanese kanji as well. I'll just have a look now to see if it actually has suriage, and I'm not sure if it does, but yes, it does. There it is. It's there. Suriageru. That's the same as suriage. Okay, that's what it means, and it shows you there. Suriageru. It actually is written in Japanese. For suri, they haven't used the kanji for suri because most places don't. Most times people don't, because it's a very difficult and somewhat rare kanji. So actually they don't use it that much. Same for suriashi, for example. So yeah, there is a glossary in the back of this book as well. Okay, so check out that, and check out the Kendo dictionary as well. Like I say, they're on KendoStar, but they do sell out super quickly. So make sure you grab them fast when they're back in stock. Okay, next one. In my dojo, we typically do Mokuso for approximately 1 minute. Excuse me, if not slightly longer before and after practice, but I recently visited another dojo where it lasted literally only 5 seconds, which to me isn't enough time to focus on mushin and preparing yourself mentally. What are your thoughts on Mokuso, and how much time do you dedicate to it? Well, Mokuso is like, I think it can sometimes be a little bit over, like, how can I say it? Like, I think we have a bit of a tendency in the West to make it a little bit more esoteric than it really is. What you should use your time in Mokuso for is, yeah, to get yourself in the right frame of mind for training, sort of calm yourself down and figure out what you're going to be working on. Sorry, I keep coughing. I've got a frog in my throat or something. I don't know. So yeah, you know, 5 seconds, especially at the start of practice, not really good. Obviously, I've been in a situation where it's had to only be like 5 seconds or something. At the end of practice, particularly when you know, you push for time or something like that, maybe you've got to get out of the hall. Ideally, yeah, I think like 30 seconds to a minute is absolutely fine. Yeah, I wouldn't go longer than that. And you know, even like, I mean, 15, 20 seconds even. You don't have to read a poem to yourself or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of just calming yourself down. Okay, today I'm going to do my best at today's practice. I'm going to work on my ashitabaki. I'm going to work on my tanuchi. And I'm going to try my best to give everything to each and every cut. Okay. And that's enough. Okay, if you should be able to have that internal monologue, you know, not that specific one. Of course, it's individual to you. You know, you do what you need to do during that time, but it doesn't need to be super extended either. And I think if you're sat there with your eyes closed or almost closed, and in silence. Actually, I think you'll find that 30 seconds a minute actually is quite a long time. So I'm not saying you should do less, but at the same time, don't overdo it either, if that makes sense. Sorry, I keep coughing here. Okay. Hi Andy, any chance of selling the ebook version of the books on KendoStar? Sorry, I really don't think that that's on the cards. The AJKF don't publish those as an ebook, and I don't think they've got plans to in the near future either. So for the time being, I'm going to say no. Sorry about that. Hi Andy, thanks for your tips on stitching. Learning this from someone close to the bogu manufacturing is priceless. Thank you very much. Can I ask what is the difference on having cross-stitched, like for example your kaisei set features? Is this improving durability and or protection? Okay, so first off, yeah, let me qualify what you said there about because obviously I did a bit of a rant about millimeter stitching in the last video, and yeah, you're right. I am close to the bogu manufacturing process, more so than most people actually. You know, during my time in Japan, as I worked as a Kendo professional, as I still do, but as I did in Japan, I worked at literally the top level. I wasn't just some guy answering emails and picking up the phone. I was in charge of half of a company, one of the biggest companies, and I was dealing with the workshop. I was in charge of training the Japanese staff, not just the international staff. So, you know, and I know my stuff. So I'm sort of saying that so you know I want you to be assured that you can sort of trust what I'm saying to be correct. In terms of the cross stitching, okay, so this is the kaisei min. This is mine. This is my actual one. It's a little bit damp because I actually used it last night. The cross stitched is okay. So basically, if you look at the futon of the men here, you can see it's got this sort of grid pattern of stitching. Now most bogu sets just have a single set of stitches that go horizontally, shall we say, through the futon this way. Okay, but the kaisei and also the isamu on our website, they have an extra set that also run vertically, making it into this sort of grid of stitching. Yeah, and we're not the only company that do this. A couple of other companies out there do it as well. It does have benefits. The benefit of having cross-stitched or cross-pitch or however you want to call it, stitching is that basically, yeah, it puts an extra row of stitching in that essentially boosts that durability that little bit more. Because essentially this is made of cotton, okay? You've got cotton, and then this is deerskin here on the kaisei model. But this is cotton, and what the stitches do is they reinforce that cotton, because this obviously is getting hit with the shinai, or it's rubbing against the top of your head or the inside of your shoulders and stuff like that. And these stitches sort of help it sort of just last that little bit longer. So having those extra stitches does that. It also sort of provides a kind of framework for the futon overall, and it makes instead of, although it's an extra set of stitches going in, instead of putting them in this is a 6mm, okay, interval, both 6mm this way, and 6mm this way. So each one's put in a row of 6mm. Now, the difference between this and let's say a 3mm set, which would be rows going this way in 3mm intervals, is this one leaves bigger gaps still, okay? So these squares are still bigger in the futon itself. So even though there are twice as many stitches, you get to put twice as many stitches in without squashing the futon down too much. So you get to retain some of that protection and that cushioning as well. Okay, so what you'd find is a 6mm set like this that's double stitched actually has a lot more protection, a lot more thickness, a lot more padding than a set that's stitched in a single direction with 3mm intervals, which is sort of a similar number of stitches, as it were. So they're kind of used in a more efficient way. And yeah, like I say, it creates a kind of framework for the futon as well, which is especially nice for sort of shaping it. We actually put one row completely vertically, and then the rows from the ears down on this are actually diagonal. So this helps make that really nice shape on this, so that it's got that enough rigidity to hold the shape like that, but because the diagonal, it still is nice and maneuverable, so it's not getting in your way, it's not sort of you know, stopping you moving your shoulders, especially when you're doing kirikaishi, stuff like that. So yeah, especially this is a more traditional set. This is a set that I actually made. I came up with the kaisei idea. It came out of somewhat selfish reasons in the first place. I wanted to make the best set I could make for gradings. Okay, I thought, you know, I've got tournament sets up there. I've got my everyday keiko sets, or the ones that I wear is, you know, for doing motodachi. The sort of Vanguard is like my all-round sets, and the new V1 as well, of course. And then I've got the Vanguard Prime, which is a really super thick one, which is what I take to like really hardcore, heavy practices where I'm going to get hit a lot or have to receive a lot. But I wanted something that would be sort of really, really high grade that I could take to sort of higher level grading exams, or maybe if I want to use it at a sort of prestigious event. It's an ambition of mine, for example, to participate in the Kyoto Taikai. So this is the sort of bogu that I'd want to wear in that. So that's where I kind of came up with that. And when we made this one, I was so happy with it. I thought, well, wouldn't it be so nice if we could offer that out to everybody? And that's where the the kaisei sort of came from. So yeah, so it's a really great set, and that's why I sort of included this sort of cross stitching on it. So it's really, really beautiful. You should check it out if you're looking for a really nice high grade set. The kaisei is absolutely one to go for. So yeah, check that out as well. Okay, excuse me. Right. You probably don't know for sure, but what is your sense of how many of your commenters are women or men? You're absolutely right. I've got no idea the sort of distinction between that. I don't even know if there's a way to find that out. Is there even like a? I'm sort of clicking on YouTube analytics literally as we speak, but I mean there's nothing really that seems to. There's a demographics button, and yeah, I mean obviously there's a lot more. There's actually quite a lot more male, but it says that's based on watch time, not on comments. There's a lot more watch time from men than there are from women. Whether that translates itself into the comments or not, I don't know. It's something I've never really noticed or thought. I've never really put any specific thought into it, to be honest, because it doesn't matter in Kendo so much. Obviously, occasionally I might get a question that is sort of specific in that way, you know, like you know, about women's shinai or something like that, or whatever. But yeah, I don't really know. So yeah. Sorry, I can't really answer that. Okay, next one. Rant about Fumikiri and weight balance, please. Okay, so Fumikiri is it's the act of launching from your left foot. That's what Fumikiri is. Okay, so you got Fumikomi, or Fumikomu, which is the stamping of the right foot, and the Fumikiri is like the kicking off from the left foot. I wonder if it's in this glossary that I just had before. Basically, it's obviously such a... Yeah, I mean, here we go. It's right here. So in this guide here, I'll read out the definition that this gives. It says, to kick forcefully off the floor so that the body moves quickly. In Kendo, the foot which kicks off the floor when moving the body is called Fumikiri ashi. The motion of kicking forcefully off the floor with Fumikiri ashi is called Fumikiri dosa. Okay, so it's not much help. So yeah, it's essentially the act of launching your body from your left leg if you're in Chudan, or obviously your right leg if you're in Jodan or something else. It's obviously super important, and it's heavily connected to a concept in Kendo called tame. And tame is to have your sort of energy and power and your readiness all charged up and ready to go at any moment in your left leg, so that you're able to attack, bam, instantly as soon as the moment comes. As far as weight balance goes, people often get mixed up with this and they tend to rest their weight on their left leg, so that they can kind of jump forward. But it's not a jump forward, it's a drive forward. And that the book said kicking, which is kind of how it works, but not kicking out like this, but kicking back this way. And your weight should be even between your it should be centralized between both your legs. You shouldn't have your weight over your back leg. You shouldn't have your weight over your front leg. It should be roughly evenly distributed, and your left leg poised and ready to go, bam, at any moment. Kind of like a coiled spring, or a tense piece of elastic, ready to, bam, fire at any moment. That's the way you have to do it. And what is very, very connected to is the height of your heel. All right. So if you're finding that you are unable to launch forwards properly without perhaps springing up or kicking up your foot out behind you, then you'll probably find that your heel is either too high or too flat, when it needs to be just a little bit off the floor. But with the energy of this, essentially, your feet should be almost not pulling apart, but the action is this way, and not this way. Yeah, not like this, but this way. And then, bam, when you go to hit. And then, of course, as soon as the right foot lands on the Fumikomi, then you have your Hiki-Kote, bam, and your left foot comes straight up afterwards. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of practice, but you have to concentrate on it during your keiko. Okay, so if you can't do this from your standard kamae, you are not in kamae. Okay, your kamae is not a kamae if you're not able to launch a strike immediately. If you need to adjust your feet before you hit, you are not stood in kamae. Okay, kamae is not just holding the shinai out in front of you or over your head. Kamae is being stood ready to attack at any instant. Okay, as soon as the chance is created or appears. Okay. Okay, last one. I'm still new in Kendo. I've been practicing for about 2 years now without missing many sessions and participating in as many events, seminars and tournaments as possible. What I've noticed is that I find it increasingly difficult to attend these tournaments in the sense that I get more nervous before each match. Any input on that? Thank you so much for your time. Another question is that I've seen people wear their men with the chichikawa on top of the mengane. Is there a difference on that? Where does this come from? Sorry for bombarding you with questions. Okay, so dealing with nerves at a tournament. It's a tough one, to be honest with you. It's natural, and it's not a bad thing. It's good. You should be nervous at the tournament. That's part of the idea of putting yourself through the ordeal of competing. So the first thing is you mustn't shy away from it. I know it makes you feel nervous because you don't want to, especially as you get more experienced and you start to perhaps even win some matches and you start to feel like you want to achieve more, then you start to put more pressure on yourself, and then the nerves grow alongside that. Now, push yourself still to go despite the nerves. And with regards to the nerves, what you need to consider is that it's natural to be nervous, but you don't have to be as nervous as you probably are. There's no real consequence to losing. In fact, there's more good things than bad things to lose. Obviously, losing makes you feel bad, makes you feel embarrassed, makes you feel dissatisfied. Obviously, you want to win, you want to feel good, you want to look good, you want people to think that you're good. So these are natural things. It's not wrong to think these things, but some of these things you still have to try and throw away. Okay? I feel it as well. You know, even when I enter a tournament, and I've entered many tournaments, more than I can possibly remember. But even when I enter one, whatever the level, I've always got that fear. Always have to fight with my own ego, my own pride, which is a natural battle to have with yourself. But that's okay. That's okay. But do your best to try and overcome this. Try and overcome being too proud or being too keen to look good to the other people. And remember that if you lose, then you have the opportunity to learn. And you know, you're not really going to get hurt or die or anything like that. So there's no real world consequence in that way. Other than that, it's just experience, and you can help by trying to practice at other places. Maybe if you could visit the clubs that you don't normally visit or practice, that's a very good way to help with nerves at a tournament, because when you go to practice at a different club that you don't normally practice at, that is another situation where you feel nervous. You tend to feel nervous or anxious about meeting new people, practicing with new people, or especially if they have a teacher. And as much as possible, try to practice with the high-level sensei, even if you have to travel to do so. Try and practice with them, because obviously practicing with the sensei is also another instance where you end up literally practicing Kendo in a very stressful situation where you do feel a similar sense of nervousness as you do at a tournament. Okay, so that will help you build your experience in order to help with that problem. As to your other question about the Chichikawa on top of the Mengane, okay, so back in the old days, there used to be a rule that if you could trip someone up and then take their men off, you won the match. And I'm talking a long time ago, long time ago. That hasn't been part of Kendo for a long time, and it's not coming back. But from that, some schools, and I'm pretty sure that when that was happening, there was like different schools of Kendo. It wasn't as unified as it is now. But some schools, particularly it seems around the Kansai region of Japan, the central region of Japan, developed a different way of tying the men. Now this is the standard way, where you put the Chichikawa basically on the fourth bar from the bottom, and the himo passed around the back and under the top tategane here. This way, then go back round and tie at the back here. The other way that became popular around the Kansai area was it was one longer Chichikawa that passed around the tategane, and it was longer himo that then basically the Chichikawa had a hole in it and it crossed through itself, and then the himo would come around. They would pass underneath the ago here like this. Then they go back round and then go up back through the tategane, and then back to be tied at the back. Now this makes the men tied to the head much more firmly, much more securely, which means that if you get tripped, it's much harder for somebody to take it off your head. So it was for that reason, I believe, that it was originally implemented. And to this day, it's still popular, particularly in the Kansai area. So often it is referred to as the Kansai style of tying the men. I haven't heard that description that much in Japan though, especially when I lived in Kansai. People either just called it tying from the top or tying from the bottom. But that's, again, that could vary depending on area. Like I said before about sort of Kendo words, they're not terminology in Japan, they're just language. So different places use different ones. And then I've heard this called the Kanto style. And the Kanto is the eastern area of Japan where Tokyo is. But again, I've never heard this called Kanto style in Japan. Particularly because I lived in Kyushu. I've never lived in Kanto. And most people in Kyushu do this style. I think this is more like I think a more appropriate way to call this would be like the Hyojin style, which is the standard style. Because this is the most popular way to do it. This is how I prefer to do it. And the other way, I can understand why people call Kansai style. But yeah, it's just a different style to do it. There's no tactical advantage anymore since the sort of rule about taking someone's men off is now long gone. Yeah, some people like it. Some people, like me, I prefer. I did it for a while. Because I wanted to experience it. It takes much longer to tie than this style does. So you probably find as well lots of the young people in the Kansai area probably still do this style because they want to tie their men very quickly so they can get to practice with the sensei very quickly. But yeah, that's essentially it. It's kind of a preference thing. And yeah, it doesn't really serve as any sort of particular tactical advantage anymore. So yeah, that's it for the questions today. I've been going on now for just about half an hour, so sorry for being away. I will do my best to get more of these videos out again on a regular basis. I do want to post them every day if I can. I will keep trying, I promise. Keep the questions coming though, so I've got something to talk about. You can leave me a comment down below to do that, or you can get in the Facebook Kendo Show Early Access group. That's a great place to post questions because I'll definitely see them come in there. And also you'll get interaction from other experienced Kendo practitioners that are in that group. It generates loads of discussions. It's a great group to be in. There's a link in the description down below to join that. Finally, like, share, subscribe, all that. And most importantly, shop at KendoStar. Shop at KendoStar because it's the best internet retailer. You know it, I know it. If you haven't tried it yet, give us a try. You won't regret it. It's the best stuff out there. It's all designed or curated by me, so of course I would say that. But I think you'll agree if you give us a shot. That's KendoStar.com. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.